Well, welcome to our inaugural interview in the We Can Do It Women community, the 60 plus, 60 and wiser community. And I am more than pleased to have Judith, Dr. Judith. She is a bona fide PhD Sherven with us today. Welcome, Judith. I'm so appreciative of your joining us today.
Absolutely, Deborah. And it's my pleasure to help you kick off your live interviews.
Here we go. Well, I want to say that your history is so rich and what shall I say, the attraction of between you and meeting and falling in love with your husband and then the work that you've done together. It's like one and one make four, right? The amount of work that you have turned out. It is amazing. But let me just step back for a moment and talk with our audience about you, Judith. And I am going to read a little bit so I don't miss some of the details, but you're passionate about working with company leaders. All right. There's a whole lot of us in this group that are company leaders who are ambitious, yet challenged, as well as leaders with startups just learning to lead. And boy, these are two different ends of the spectrum, in my opinion, I would think. You often coach with your husband, Jim Schnikowski.
Very good. Oh, he'd be so proud of you.
Excellent. Well, I practice the nickel, and he is more strategic, while Judith is tactical. And so, what a great team! And they challenge, encourage, critique, applaud, give assignments, and nudge their clients to gain greater confidence, become stronger leaders and managers. Boy, isn't the world in need of that right now! And gain greater enjoyment in their roles. How about a heavy dose of enjoyment for all of us? I applaud you, Judith. This is amazing work. So her ideal clients, in case you're thinking, and you will be probably the more this interview goes on, hey, how can we work with her? She really loves to take on ambitious leaders, expansive managers, newly acquired business owners, leaders of startups, challenging personalities. I fall into that category. And first-time managers. Her background is obtaining her PhD in clinical psychology, and she enjoyed a full-time private practice in Santa Monica, California, one of my favorite cities in the world. She is specializing in couples counseling, and she's still doing it. Her marriage to Jim, her husband, brought invitations to work with several corporate teams and opened them to executive coaching that they have enjoyed for the past 2 decades, that'd be 20 years. So they have learned a thing or two in their book knowledge and getting their PhDs, both of them, and in the magnificent work they've done. Their work is filled with a lot of testimonials from people who really have been able to be pivoted, right? And they lift up that initiative and that vision, if you will, for a fuller leadership journey, if I don't mind just ad-libbing a nickel. Always encouraging, they focus on helping their clients overcome their fear of being fabulous. Whoa, we're going to dig into that. Overcoming their fear of being fabulous. All right, Judith and Jim have been married 36 years and have 9 books. 9, that's just one shy of 10, and that's 4 more than 5. Holy camoly. Their most recent is Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. And then they have 33 key, well, this is subtitle, 33 keys to creating your new life by leaving your old stories behind. It was the nonfiction winner in the 2023 San Francisco Book Festival, which I happen to know is quite competitive. So congratulations on that. And I just want you to talk with us about this title, Judith, the Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. Holy camoly, talk to us.
Well, we came up with the idea of the fear of being fabulous. On our blind date, we sat in a restaurant in Venice, California, for probably a couple of hours. And of those 2 hours, at least 1 hour, we talked about having both been actors, professional actors, and why did we quit? Why did we walk away? Why didn't we push to become stars? And ended up using the term, the fear of being fabulous. So when we recognized that, all that many years ago, then we started watching it in our clients. and in ourselves as therapists.
Yeah.
We watched ourselves hold back and then be able to push forward when we would get asked to be speakers at whole life expos, being careful. And then the next year, like, oh, no, we don't have to be so careful. Let us, take the title and make it really a megawatt title. And sure enough, the room was filled, standing room only, when we gave it a big title. So we've watched it in ourselves over and over, and of course, in our clients, this impulse to hold back. And one of the things I want to ask all of the people watching and listening is, how well do you accept compliments? Just think about it. Do you shrug it off and say, oh, it was nothing, or oh, it was no big deal, in any way that you just shine it on, instead of saying, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Amazing. Isn't that amazing? The paucity of times we women, and especially older women, say thank you after a compliment.
After a compliment, exactly.
Gee.
And, if you look at even movie stars.
Yes.
Jane Fonda was on Jimmy Kimmel Live. She will be 87 in December.
Yeah.
And she still was a bit uncomfortable. You could just watch her body language. She was still a little uncomfortable.
I saw that interview. You're exactly right.
You saw the interview.
I did.
So, but Jane Fonda?
I know.
And unfortunately, she never had help getting really grounded in her superb stardom.
Right, right. I believe Jane was quoted as saying it wasn't until she left her last marriage that she discovered herself as a woman. She had been the appurtenant, structure of the cohort to many very famous men, of course. And that was quite the striking statement, that she kind of stepped into herself absent a male partner in our heteropatriarchy society, right? How about that?
And I read probably the same interview, but I think she's probably been quoted many times as saying that when she was married, she always felt behind those husbands because they were superstars. I mean, Ted Turner was her first husband.
Exactly.
Gigantic, huge name in the world. Exactly. And yet, even though she was Jane Fonda, and she was the daughter of Henry Fonda, it didn't matter. She still, as a female, held herself back. So we certainly want everyone listening and watching this interview to think about, how do you hold yourself back? Another person who comes to mind, just an interview that I read recently, you may have also, the actress Kathy Bates, who's 76.
Yes.
Allowed herself to become so overweight that she described it that she could hardly stand for any length of time at all and had to sit. And for her health, had to lose 100 pounds. And now she's very comfortable being able to stand, being able to work full-time during the day. But think about it, putting on all of that weight.
Yes.
As a cover-up.
A defense, is it not? Right. A defense and a cover-up. You're exactly right. And I don't mean to interrupt you, and I apologize for doing that. For this fabulousness that she is. I mean, she's quite the talent.
Yes. I love her.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. That weight just covered her up and kept her in hiding. Blessedly, her health prompted her to lose that weight.
Exactly. The other person that comes to mind, Judith, is I gave a TEDx talk in 2019, and Glenn Close had just accepted the Golden Globe. And she is on stage with the Golden Globe Award, and she said her mother said to her, with all of the accomplishments of her father, her mother said to her at 80 plus years old, I feel like I have not accomplished anything at all herself. She was the wife of her husband.
Right, right. And the mother of.
And the mother. Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, Glenn Close. Hello. This is so prevalent, and you and Jim are about really recasting, if you will, throwing out some of these old stories. Talk to us about these stories that your clients come in with and how you equip them, maybe pull their heads up, pull that old story out, and you tell us how you do it.
Well, for instance, one of the stories that a lot of people live with, even executives,
Yes.
is I should not have to ask for a promotion. So we talk with them in terms of what would it cost you if you asked your manager for a promotion? And many times people will say, I would feel embarrassed. I would feel needy. I would feel like I was exposing my lack. Where is that coming from? Well, often it's coming from childhood.
Yes, it is.
Many times people are taught, no, 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 don't ever ask your teacher for extra help. That'll just reveal you as a needy student,
Yes, yes.
etc. Well, that just carries over in the unconscious.
You bet. You bet.
So when we coach them in terms of, no, 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 you are a professional. You have become a senior director. Good for you. It is now time for you to become a VP. You've proven it. All right, now go to your manager, who's often an SVP, and ask for that promotion, and ask for what do you need to be displaying? What do you need to do to prove that you deserve that promotion?
Amazing.
And when people do, many times they are greeted back with, oh my goodness, of course we have to help you get ready to be promoted. Thank you for bringing it up. I've been thinking about it, but I'm so busy. I needed you to speak to me.
This is so critical. And I have heard this time and again, Judith. This was a woman was passed over like 3 years in a row, and her male counterparts summarily promotion, finally gets up the nerve, goes into the corner office. Her boss sitting there with head bowed. He's in the day writing, not typing, writing. And she says, Mr. Boss, I would like a promotion. And he says, I think she said 3% promotion raise. And he said, okay, he never raised his head. Okay. And she said, sir, okay, then, so I deserve it, but why didn't I get it before? Oh, I didn't think about it, he said.
Good point. He didn't think about it until she raised the issue.
And Judith, my swim lane is math. All of the groups of zeros of compounding that she lost from salary, 401k match, Social Security, it's irrecoverable. So it's incumbent upon us to learn this and learn this now. So you and Jim are neck deep in this. Talk to me, will you, about what you see, if you see the same level of perfectionism that I encounter when people are older women are dealing with their careers and so forth. It just seems like even from grade school, a teacher would ask a question and all the boys' hands would go up. Did they know the answer? No, but their hands went up and then they got called on and they're like, oh, some of them actually said I didn't even know the answer. And the girls are sitting there waiting until they have the exact answer before they dare. I don't know. Are you still seeing that?
Yes, that is a perfect description. Jim described that in terms of classes that he was in college, where all the boys would, not boys by that time, but certainly guys, and the women would wait. And what we see now still is when the word is out that there's a new position available,
Yes.
the women say to themselves, oh, I'm not ready. I need to learn this skill. I need to learn that skill. And the men are like, signing up. I
Well,
want an interview right this minute. They may not have those extra skills at all, but they're willing to learn on the job after they get hired. That's what happens. So we women have got to push forward, overcome our fear of being fabulous.
mm,
And I encourage women to see this book on Amazon. It's available in audio, Kindle, paperback, hardback, every which way you would want to get it,
exactly.
to help you overcome the fear of essentially being pushy, being out there, going forward. And I say pushy because that's how we've been taught to think about it, but
Yes, it is.
it's not pushy. It's simply being full of confidence and going forward.
Absolutely. I'm wondering, when you're working in tandem with Jim with a client, and do sometimes the women kind of look to him for the male permission, I mean, because all a white man has to do to perpetuate sexism is nothing, of course. The system does it, right? You open your mouth, on the other hand, a PhD, as is Jim. I'm just sensing, I'm just imagining you open your mouth, and if she's really needing the male validation that she's okay and enough, right? I mean, or do you see her like kind of looking to Jim to see if he's saying that she's worth it?
And curiously, I've not seen that.
Well, thanks be to God.
but what I do notice is that male and female clients both will say, well, what Jim said to me a few weeks ago, blah, 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 more than they ever say when Judith said blah, blah, blah. So it shows up that way.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and frankly, when I was researching you, there were an uncomfortable, for me, uncomfortable number of references, Judith and Dr. Jim.
Oh,
Oh, that makes me so nuts. I'm like, Dr. Judith, Dr. Jim. And,
yes.
oh, anyway. Oh,
There you go. There you go.
so listen, you guys, if you don't know Dr. Judith Sherven, uh, while she was acting, I mean, she was on like small shows like Star Trek, Wild Wild West, I Dream of Jeannie. Now, I had a comment on I Dream of Jeannie. I have a little condo in Cocoa Beach. That's where they filmed a lot of the I Dream of Jeannie, right? I don't know if you ever went down there for filming, but
No.
so just south of my condo, there's a very big, there's a very tall, it has to be like 30-foot high because everyone has sawed it off and taken it home as a souvenir. I Dream of Jeannie Lane, right?
Huh.
Well, it's right by the Fisher Park, right? So, and then the yogurt store on the corner, they're showing on the TVs the I Dream of Jeannie, episodes. So anyway, Judith has been on I Dream, Beverly Hillbillies, My Three Sons, Ozzie and Harriet. And somehow, with even this type of foothold, 80 national TV commercials, she walked away from stardom. So talk to us about that.
And walked away from using my agents properly. And I say properly
There you go.
because I never said, and I had a number of agents over the years because I won a beauty contest. All this started because I won a beauty contest when I was 12. I looked 18.
Oh, fun.
I just sprouted and I became as tall as I am and a full bosom body when I was 12.
So
And by 14, I had an agent. I had my first commercial. 15, I did the Ozzie and Harriet, etc. I had a number of agents before I went back to school and got my PhD. Deborah, I never went to any of those agents and said, okay, I want a running part in a series and I want you to make me a star. I never even saw that image of what I should aim for. I was now part of this is because I grew up in a lower middle class family.
Yes.
I have a younger brother. That's it. My dad sold used cars for the most part. He was a hothead. He
Mm.
worked, we grew up in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he would get fired from jobs or he'd quit. Well, in Los Angeles, it's dime a dozen to go get another job when you're a great salesman
Yeah.
at a car dealership. So what I saw was not taking your career seriously.
Oh.
He never he never wanted his own dealership. He never grew into a manager. So, and my mother didn't work. So what I saw was that I was doing so much better than my dad was doing.
Oh, 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 oh.
Uh-huh.
Did that stop you?
Exact. When I
Yes.
look back on it, that stopped me from even imagining having a larger acting career. And that is what is really sad. So I ask everybody watching this interview to think about, what are you carrying behind from your childhood, your family, your schooling? What is interfering with you thinking larger?
Yes. Yes.
And it doesn't matter how old you are, if you are working in any capacity,
Absolutely.
how can you make it larger? How can you get bigger?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Please, please, please.
Absolutely. This reminds me, I mean, I made a reference in my TEDx talk, I paid, because I was talking about inflation, right? I paid twice as much for my car at age 23 than my parents paid for their house. So
Uh,
the thing is, sometimes we have that mental hurdle. Oh, my dad never made $100,000. Oh boy, I'm coming up to $100,000. And I remember when I did, and I was just like, it was a big, it was a big swallow. And I just like, holy camoli, can I do this? Should I do this? And yet, with the cost of living, we have to almost 5 times what our parents made, if you will, in order to be present in these inflationary times. But I don't want to get it onto my thing. Here's the kind of leaders that Dr. Judith and Dr. Jim have been coaching, leaders at tech companies. I mean, small companies, LinkedIn, Unity Technology, Blackbird Interactive. How did you break in? I mean, you had these Hollywood and movie chops and creds, but how'd you break into these big, huge companies? And
we
talk about your learning system, 4-hour learning and development audio program. I'm interested in hearing about that.
Well, you're right. The 4-hour audio program, beingfabulousinbusiness.com, beingfabulousinbusiness.com, all of that is helping you become more fabulous and treating your career more seriously. In terms of the coaching that we've been able to do at these major companies, goes back to when we were coaching, we had a connection with somebody that was in those large companies. And so probably a few years later, brought us in to LinkedIn. Because now it's HR,
Yes.
they put us on retainer. So we were coaching 4 days a week at LinkedIn. And on Fridays, they expected us to be working for other companies, which we were. And that led to being on retainer at Credit Karma. And we would go up to San Francisco 2 days a week and coach all day long and teach classes. And then Unity Technologies, we worked, actually, that goes back to 2016. Off and on, different people being referred to us and so forth. Qualtrics, all kinds of companies. It would lead one way or another to us being referred to them. One of our fun stories is a fellow a leader at Qualtrics was on a plane with a fellow at LinkedIn. And the fellow at Qualtrics was complaining about one of the employees. And the fellow at LinkedIn, who knew us, said, well, I want to recommend this couple as coaches, and I want you to give them a try and see if that doesn't turn this person around. That's how we got involved with Qualtrics. Isn't that fun?
Oh, it's totally fun. Oh
yes.
my. Oh wow, making deals 30,000 feet in the air.
Yes.
And for our audience, Dr. Judith has been on Oprah.
No, actually, I have to be fair. My husband was on Oprah, but I was not. And Oprah did a special show some years back about men and the men's movement and men's work. And Jim was running a group. Well, actually, back then he was running a couple of groups in Los Angeles, and we were speaking at men's conferences around the country back then. But it was my husband who was on Oprah. We were on The View a couple of times.
I see that. 48 Hours, MSNBC, CNN, Canada AM. And then you morphed into having your own podcast, and I want you to talk to us about how that's going and how the kinds of guests that you're featuring on that. Are they more women than men? Are they corporate? Are they entrepreneurial? Tell me about them.
Well, the podcast we actually are not doing any longer, but it's still available on Podbean. Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. We did those simply just the two of us. And had we kept going, we would have started interviewing people, but we realized that we wanted to focus more on the book, Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous, the book, because our comfort is with writing books, not so much with being hosts of our own podcast. So that's why we changed.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you speak about this unconscious loyalty. Flesh that out a little bit for us, please.
When you think about your childhood, what's really important to understand is that the child's brain, up until the age of about 7, is taking in everything that's going on and parking it in the unconscious.
There you go.
In the unconscious. It is not until we become around age 7 that we have the facility in our brains to actually judge what's going on in a way that will help us discern, is this something I want to believe or not?
Yes.
So think about it. For those first 7 years, everything that was happening in your family, in your schooling, was just going into the unconscious.
Amazing.
When we work with people, they will sometimes, for instance, say, let me just use this example. I was called out to facilitate and run a particular convention for my company, and I realized I felt embarrassed. I don't know why. They will tell us. We will say, tell us about your family and what was going on when you were a kid that embarrassed you, or your parents were embarrassed for you. And sometimes they will tell us things like, well, I was called to speak in front of my class, and when I told my parents, they said, why you? Why would anybody want to hear from you? And that embarrassed me.
Yes.
So we are searching as coaches. We're always searching for those kinds of examples in childhood
Yeah. Yeah.
that have been parked in the unconscious and now carry forward and limit how much that person as an adult can own how intelligent they are, how successful they are, what kind of leaders they are. They're embarrassed.
Oh, when you think of it logically, I mean, of course, the emotions and the logic, NLP, you don't mix the two of them. And I got to think that as a shrink, I'm sorry to say, as a,
No,
as a,
no, that's fine. That's fine.
as a PhD, that, you know, you and Jim are around like with your magnifying glass trying to get to whatever it is that's holding people back. The more swiftly you can get to it and they can describe it and own it, and you know, you got to feel to heal, right? I mean, talk to us about, you know, stories, maybe, I mean, I'm not interested in names, but stories of women in particular, Judith, that you have helped that are 60 or north of 60, or what we call 60 and wiser. Talk to us about any story that you wish to highlight there, please.
Well, what is coming to my mind is a woman who decided that instead of being self-employed, which she had been for some time, she wanted to, and this, she was probably, when this happened, I'm guessing she was probably 62.
Okay.
She wanted to get a full-time job in marketing because that was her background. And when she went for the interview, she was aware that they should not ask her age.
Yes.
She did not have cosmetic surgery. She didn't dye her hair. She had some gray coming in, but she wasn't yet already white hair.
Yes.
But when she was interviewed, she was aware that she had to act energetic as a way to counteract the fact that she was older.
Yep.
She did get hired, and upon being hired, learned that there were actually a couple of women older than she was working for the company. But the age thing nearly held her back from being really herself. Yeah. At that interview that helped her get hired.
Yes.
When I think about your question of, you know, women 60 plus, it's important as I scan around about the people that I know, what comes up as an issue of discussion is energy.
Ooh.
A concern about being, for instance, you have terrific energy, I have terrific energy. We have them innately, I think
and
so.
always
have been energetic people. Right. However, someone that I know who's a hairdresser, she says, I have to stand all day. I'm aware that my feet hurt, and it tends to want to drag my energy down by the second half of the day. And I have to really work to greet my clients in a really lively, friendly kind of way and keep my energy up during the afternoon. Otherwise, I'll start to look old.
Oh my.
So those are kinds of issues that come to mind, is this business of energy.
That's curious. Yes.
And not wanting to hide one's age, but wanting to be accepted as a lively person. Oof. Do you find, Deborah, do you find that as an issue when you, because I know you work financially with people. Right.
Well, you know, sometimes people are, I mean, I think that our past stories and some of our histories and our, what I call missteps, Judith, right?
Yeah.
what most people call mistakes, and that's like a stake in the ground, No, I was at missteps because that connotes action. We're still walking. So all right, you had a misstep, and Warren Buffett had, several billion-dollar missteps. Like, who are we to pull on this perfectionistic moniker? And yet the women have been so harshly judged. They're supposed to keep if they have kids and stuff, the family together, and maybe they're working outside the home and they're keeping the house clean, they're putting the meals on the table, and one burned meal, and she's castigated. I mean, this is real. I mean, I'm not saying that these people are making this up. These are real stories, and yet I think the hope I suspect you and Jim give to these clients is one of resilience. And
Yes.
the ability to pivot, because we're not perfect human beings and men aren't perfect human beings. It's about us being real, is it not? Real and a nickel vulnerable, or maybe more like a quarter vulnerable, in order for us to really reap the benefits that are ours to get, to ours to go and catch that brass ring. I don't know, talk to us about the kinds of challenges. This energy thing is very, very, very brilliant. I appreciate you bringing that out. Are there others?
Well, I think this issue that we're addressing right now, which is ambition,
Yes.
and that unfortunately too many women hit 60 or 65 and start to believe that I have to quit working, I have to quit going forward,
Yes.
I need to retire. Well, what does retirement mean? I need to spend more time with my grandchildren. It needs to all go toward the grandchildren instead of going forward in whatever way I might want to, whether it's actually, I keep thinking about on my news feed, I have not read the article yet, but a woman who's 102.
Oh, yes. She just got her college degree.
Is it the same one who still owns her business?
Oh, I don't know. This is a Black woman who graduated with her granddaughter, 102. She got her college degree in, Judith, early childhood education. She had 12 children.
Oh, good. Good for her. This is somebody else
Oh,
who at 102 still owns her own business and goes to work 3 days a week. I need to now read the article because I
yes.
have not.
We're
But
both going to go bolt for that.
yes. So think about it in terms of, is there a business, and I'm saying this to everyone that is watching and listening, is there a business you're involved in that you can keep going forward in, perhaps get promoted, perhaps enlarge what you're doing, perhaps get more aggressive with your success?
There you go.
Whether it's full-time or part-time, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
Or are you talking yourself out of going forward and thinking you need to quit and you need to retire and you need to focus on, as I said, your grandchildren? That may not be, it might be gardening, it might be the local community center or whatever. But leaving yourself out of your thoughts about what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Oh, when I think of opportunity, like people's in finance, they make a misstep, right? So they lost some money, and yet they also lost some opportunity when they were paralyzed and they couldn't make any movement. That paralysis that really costs us, does it not, Judith? Our health is inextricably connected with our emotions and our drive and our disappointments and how we handle grief, etc. I mean, you're the psychologist. Talk to us about those health impacts of us not really getting to this radical responsibility that I and you are both calling women into.
Yes, and absolutely. I love what you're saying, which in terms of being radically responsible for who you are. And by that, it certainly includes exercise,
Absolutely.
keeping yourself vital and competent physically, whether that's walking, I just read a piece that walking up and down stairs, 5 sets of stairs a day, is plenty.
Mhm.
You don't need to do anything more than that. So if you live in a house that has stairs, by all means, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yep.
Or get out on the street and go walking. Get into a park and go walking. Or if you have Medicare, get your silver sneakers to
That's
pay
right.
for your gym membership.
That's right. That's right.
And I want to say that again, because when Jim and I went to our gym, they temporarily did not accept silver sneakers. I don't know why. And we went back and we said, please check into silver sneakers. Sure enough, now we have silver sneakers. So it's not costing us anything.
Beautiful.
And we go to the gym and I wear a weighted vest. I have osteoporosis.
Okay.
I got myself a weighted vest, 10 pounds. So I put that vest, it's in the back seat of the car. When we get to the gym, Jim goes inside and he starts working what he's doing. I put that weighted vest on and I walk once or twice around a gigantic block. And then I go into, and then I put it back in the car. And then I go into the gym and do a lot more workout.
Totally.
Maybe 3-4 times a week. Keep
Oh,
yourself physically in shape. Do not become a couch potato. Do not let yourself just start watching movies all the time. No, 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 no.
yeah, and the malls are open earlier than the stores open, and people are walking around like people that live in states like I do, part of the year, New Jersey. I mean, you have snow and clement weather. You go to the mall and you're not a trip and fall hazard outside. These are opportunities to not only get that exercise, but to get that camaraderie, because sometimes you and Jim are lucky you're going to the gym by yourself. But if you happen to be living alone or your partner doesn't want to do that, now you get yourself to some place, either the gym and you form your friendship there, or the mall. And then people are going to say, hey, where were you last Thursday? And you're going to think in the morning, I'm not sure if I'm going to go. And then you say, no, Barry was going to be calling me if I don't. You see, there's this teamwork. See, teamwork makes the dream work. And if we set our intentions, Judith, you tell me as a psychologist, what's the chance of us getting there versus just reacting, right? If we're creators, I'm always loving that, creator and reactor using the same letters, different order. And boy, does that make a world of difference, does it not?
Absolutely. Bravo. I'm so glad you said that, because yeah, absolutely. If you're not already, become a creator. You may already be a creator. Great. Keep going.
That's right. That's right.
Keep going. What all do you want to create before you can't?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's not have those moments on our deathbed when we're ruining what we didn't do. Hey, Suzanne, chime in here, girlfriend, and anybody ask questions I'm just hogging the time with Dr. Judith. I apologize. Suzanne, I don't have grandchildren, retired at 66 at the end of the space shuttle program. I have 2 home businesses, plus my passion of music keeps me very busy. And it does. Suzanne, talk to us.
Well, yes, hello. This is very interesting. I'm sorry I missed the very beginning of it.
That's all right. Recorded.
Yeah, I was forced into retirement, I should say it, but it was perfect timing because I had turned 66, and so I was able to, retire. And I kept saying, do I really have to work now? Because I'm retired, I should be able to take it easy. And I'm retired. That was my big thing. But my lands, that didn't last very long because I love keeping busy. I love seeing people. I love being out and about. And now my music, I sing at church. I also sing, we do music recordings for another church. We also sing at assisted living facilities, so we are keeping really busy. Plus one of the members of my group, there's 3 of us. She's 80, she'll be 81 at the end of this month. And she is a writer of music. And she now is going to be, she joined a group called Empower, and they do New Thought music. And she's now going to be publishing her songs and copywriting her songs and getting them out. They're going to be doing recordings of her songs. So music's my big passion. That's what really keeps me hopping. But one of the things, you were talking about energy earlier, and one of the things that I noticed that, you know, I'm a little bit older. Oh, okay. My cat just laid on the keyboard and turned on my sound. um, one of the things I do notice is that I have to kind of pace myself
Okay.
because I don't have the energy and the stamina that I used to. I'm almost 80, so it's like, you know, I've got to watch what I do, and but it works. You know, I'll sit down, put my feet up for a few minutes, the cat on the lap, and then I'm out and about. You know, and on and upwards. So
Calibration.
and yeah, so that's what I do. So I I'm really enjoying my life, and I don't know what I would do if I didn't have these things to do.
Well,
You know,
congratulations, Suzanne. You created that, and kudos to you. I'm interested in Judith. You want to opine something on this, and then I want to close with what your next goal is, Judith. So go ahead.
Well, Suzanne, bravo for making music for all the people who get to enjoy the music that you and your group make. That's fantastic.
mm-hmm.
And
Thank you.
you bet. And I just, in terms of energy, please, people, if you do not enjoy coffee, check out green tea, which is really good for you.
Very good.
And there's also a supplement that my husband uses for energy called guarana. It is a plant-based caffeine, and he just takes one of them a day in the morning, and it just gives him energy for the day. Guarana, I think it is, guarana. So energy to keep going.
Right, right.
Amazing. Well, thank you so very much. And Judith, Dr. Judith and Dr. Jim, your next goal, right, is to have one or more of your film scripts successfully produced and released in theaters and streaming online. Just let us in on which one you're really hoping gets there first, because I have every confidence one of them is going to kick you into that sphere.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am personally hoping it's Mr. Perfect, which is an adult rom-com. It's not a silly rom-com. I wrote it with Jim's help, but I'm the primary writer of a romance novelist who's unmarried by the age of 40. Of course, I didn't meet Jim until I was 43, so it has something to do with me. But she's madly in love with the heroes that she writes in her books about. And of course, no man will match that.
No.
And then, of course, we all look forward to finding out who it is that sweeps her off her feet in a way, because he does know about love. He loved a woman. He did not marry her. She had cancer, and she knew about love, and she died before they could marry. And he knows that she, the novelist, has the capacity to learn to love if she'll just open her heart.
Wow. And what's the name of it again, Judith?
Mr. Perfect.
Of course. All right. Everybody going to keep your eyes peeled for Mr. Perfect coming to a theater or a podcast streaming TV near you. We can't thank you enough, Dr. Judith, for joining us, for sharing your wisdom, your book knowledge, your practical knowledge as a psychologist, psychologist.
Yes, yes.
And all that rich modeling and acting to bring you to that, as well as Jim's. I am just so celebrating your partnership, each of you individually, and your partnership, and the work you're doing to serve people up a new next chapter they may never have had the courage to dream of. And I congratulate you on such fine work. Thank you, Judith. You've been a real
Thank you. Deborah, thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you are doing to carry all of us over 60. I will be 81 in December. Yes, yes, yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
well, this has been so rich. And yes, we're all going to be keep continuing to talk about each of our interviews. And Dr. Suzanne is no, or Dr. Judith is no exception. Of course, Suzanne is privileged to be here, and we had some tech difficulties. So some of you will be listening to this replay. I again thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's so much a pleasure to meet you, and give our best to Jim. And you guys keep going until you get Mr. Perfect on the screen, or one of your other, or you write a 10th book, which I suspect probably isn't too far behind. What do you think?
There you go. Absolutely.
All righty. Well, I'm going to let you go because we each have a time commitment. And until next time, we can do it, women. Yes, we can. Take good care.